I dropped an underwater camera on a sunken pirate ship and I saw one of the most deadliest fish down there. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. We started our morning making a 6-mile run to Fort Lauderdale where this sunken pirate ship was located. And down here in Fort Lauderdale, this area is surrounded with these giant cargo ships and reefs, which makes the fishing so good. Once we got to Fort Lauderdale, we started setting up our baits with our camera. And all we had here was a chicken rig loaded up with squid and the underwater camera. Once this was all set, we were ready to make our first shot down to the bottom. And the fish we saw in our next shot is one of the deadliest fish in the ocean, so stay tuned. And this is what the spot looked like on our Garmin. We were marking a good amount of fish here. So we now make our way down to the bottom. This spot was about 350 feet deep, and I told you guys in our last video, the goal of this video was to drop this camera somewhat shallow so you guys can see really how much life is down there. And the nicest thing about dropping 350 feet deep is that it only takes us about 45 seconds to hit the bottom. In our other videos, when we drop 1,000 feet deep, it sometimes takes us up to 5 minutes just to hit the bottom. It also makes it really nice when we're reeling up our baits. This only takes us about a minute or two. When we're dropping 1,000 feet deep, reeling up a fish that deep, it usually takes us a good 10 minutes. As you guys can see, we are already right off the bottom, and this is my first time dropping at this spot. So having the camera attached to our baits makes it really nice for us to see what species live in this area. And on this pirate ship, we were positioning the boat a little off the wreck so we wouldn't get stuck in the boat, resulting in us losing our camera. We have just hit the bottom, and the second we hit the bottom, there were a good amount of fish in this area. These are really nice sized snappers here. These snappers that are surrounding our camera are called vermilion snappers, and they are absolutely delicious. These fish only have to be 12 inches to keep, and it looked like all the fish surrounding our camera were way over that size limit. And this spot looked really solid. I mean, you guys can see there's so much life here, and we've only been on the bottom for about 25 seconds, and there's already been about 30 fish pass by this camera. And these are all snappers, which means this is a really good snapper hole. So as we continued to leave our baits down there, they kind of were all picking away at our squid here, and clearly I didn't have the right setup to fish for these fish. Next time we come out, we definitely will have the right setup. But one of these snappers ended up connecting onto one of our squids, and it looked like a nice size snapper, so I started bringing him up. And this is the worst part about having a camera on your bait. You guys can just see how you lose your fish, and that was a painful loss right there. Sadly, after losing this fish, we came up on drop number 1 empty-handed. So we rigged up for drop number 2, and this is where we saw one of the most deadly fish in the ocean. And you guys let me know in the comments down below if you guys prefer the shallower type of content, or if you guys still prefer dropping that camera 1,000 feet deep. Personally, I prefer to drop it shallower just because we're able to see so much more. When you're dropping 1,000 feet deep, you could barely see anything. It's pitch black. All you could see really is the strike when that fish hits. But down here, when you're dropping 300 feet deep, we could see everything. So we now are about to hit bottom, and on this drop, it looked like we hit right on top of this pirate ship. And actually, right off the start here, really we didn't get action like the drop before. There wasn't any fish that showed up until about 10 seconds after. And again, on this drop, the first couple of fish that swam by were all vermilion snappers, until about 20 seconds after, sitting right on the bottom, we saw one of the most deadliest fish in the ocean, a lionfish. And these lionfish are extremely dangerous to humans, and they actually are an invasive species. So whenever you guys can catch one of these lionfish, whenever you're underwater, you're able to spear them, you really should be killing these fish just because they are extremely invasive to our ecosystems. So these snappers continued to attack our baits, and this lionfish really was just sitting there. He didn't want anything to do with our baits. So I continued to let these snappers attack our baits, and clearly on the next time we do this, we're definitely going to need a better rig than the one I had, just because it seemed like a lot of these fish were robbing our baits, and these were nice sized snappers. It wasn't that they were too small for our hooks. On the next drop, we're definitely going to have a better chicken rig to do this. So as I continued to get robbed by these vermilion snappers, it actually looked like this lionfish was about to hit our bait. I'm not sure if he was just swimming down or he was looking at our squid here. He ended up leaving from our bait, and we continued to get hit by these vermilion snappers. After minutes of these vermilion snappers just trying to pick our bait off our hooks, we finally were able to hook into one of these snappers. And honestly, these vermilion snappers, like I told you guys in the beginning of this video, they are delicious eating snappers. They make a great fried fish stick. And that's usually what I make with these snappers. So I slowly started to reel up, and it looked like we had this fish nicely hooked here. So as we continued to reel this fish up, he was kind of going crazy. Like I told you guys earlier in this video, these fish only have to be 12 inches to eat, which is a really nice size, because a lot of these vermilion snapper in this spot were way over that limit. So I continued to bring this fish up, and if you guys are enjoying this underwater camera video, drop a like on this video. It takes us a ton of time to film these underwater videos. So we had this fish now about 30 seconds right under the boat, and at the end of this trip, we ended up getting about 3 of these vermilion snappers. After now we landed this fish, we measured to make sure that it was 12 inches and this fish was 13.5 inches, so we were able to put this fish on ice. We hope you guys enjoyed this fishing video, and we hope to see you guys in the next Barjack's Family Fishing video.